The clatter of plates hadn't stopped yet. Thanksgiving night, cameras still rolling, reporters packed close under bright lights, and Donald Trump was already on edge. Not tired, not distracted, angry. The kind of anger that snaps out mid-sentence, sharpens when challenged, and spills when someone asks a basic question. This wasn't a private meltdown. It happened in real time, in front of microphones, while families across the country were still cleaning up dinner. And for working Americans watching, the stakes weren't abstract. This wasn't theater. This was the person claiming to run the country losing control under the smallest amount of pressure. The moment didn't come out of nowhere. All week, Trump had been insisting the economy was booming, under policies economists say don't add up. He'd been promising outcomes that basic math can't produce. And surrounding him, a political ecosystem had grown comfortable saying the unsayable out loud. Obedience over law, loyalty over limits. That mindset surfaced plainly when a supporter was asked a simple question. Should the military ever refuse unlawful orders? What followed wasn't fringe commentary. It was an unfiltered look at how far the loyalty test has slid.
Should members of military follow unlawful orders?
Yes.
What?
They should follow any order that the president gives.
That's
and the
correct.
government gives.
That's wrong.
Even if it breaks laws?
It will endanger other people if you don't follow orders.
What if President Trump orders a squad of army guys to walk down the street killing anyone they see? They should do it?
Yes.
Mom?
Yes.
What?
I don't even understand. Like, how can you come to that conclusion?
It sounds to me like you lefties are now beginning to fear the fact that the military is going to get involved and your asses are grass.
No, it's because you're in a cult.
What if Donald Trump says, I want you to carpet bomb Oklahoma City, kill everyone? You think the Air Force should carry that out?
Yes.
There might be a reason. We don't know.
This is insane.
You cannot be this stupid. Jesus Christ.
Oh, my. This podcast was going well until that.
You just said it's cool. We levels Oklahoma. You're like, yeah, it. There must be a reason. Like, you literally can't be that dumb.
That exchange wasn't satire. It was a warning signal. And a few hours later, Trump stepped in front of reporters himself, not to cool the temperature, but to raise it. He repeated claims about tariffs funding the government, spoke as if revenue math didn't exist, and brushed off concerns with confidence that unraveled the moment facts entered the room. But the real rupture came when he was asked about a tragic shooting in Washington, D.C. The question wasn't hostile. The answer was,
tragic shooting in Washington, D.C. U.S. officials say that the suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens too. It happens too often with these people. You see them. But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other. And that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person.
The room froze. Because what Trump said wasn't just vicious, it was wrong. And those facts mattered immediately to anyone trying to understand whether this outburst was anger or something more unstable. What happens next doesn't just raise political questions, it exposes a pattern that directly affects public safety, accountability, and trust in leadership. And none of those questions have been answered yet. The damage didn't stop with the insult. Once Trump finished attacking the reporter, he doubled down on a story that collapses the moment it's examined. He claimed there were laws preventing removal. He claimed mass vetting never happened. He claimed responsibility rested anywhere but with the administration that most recently reviewed the case. And he said it with visible irritation, as if repetition could substitute for accuracy.
And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess. It should have never taken place. If we're going to go out, and we would have gone out because I had everybody ready to go. We were going to go out with strength and dignity and precision. And we would have left from Bagram, and we would have kept Bagram, by the way, because of its very close relationship to China and where they make their missiles. But when you let the people come in by the thousands and thousands and thousands, they made a terrible mistake. But they were incompetent, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you for
This is where the pattern becomes impossible to miss. When confronted with facts that contradict his claims, Trump doesn't correct, he escalates, he shifts blame, he invents barriers that don't exist and treats irritation as authority. That approach might rally a loyal audience, but it collapses under scrutiny. And scrutiny is unavoidable when lives, law enforcement, and international agreements are involved. The record is straightforward. The suspect had been vetted repeatedly, first through intelligence processes overseas, then through Operation Allies Welcome in 2021, which required biometric and biographic screening across federal agencies. Most consequentially, asylum was granted in April 2025. That means a review occurred under Trump's own administration. Approval didn't slip through the cracks, it was signed off. And the claim that removal authority didn't exist doesn't hold. Humanitarian parole is, by definition, temporary. Temporary protected status can be ended. In fact, it was ended. Trump's administration demonstrated it had authority and used it. What it didn't do here wasn't because it couldn't, it was because it didn't. That's not a political debate, that's cause and effect. Instead of acknowledging those facts, Trump treated the question as an insult. Instead of clarifying risk, he leaned into generalization. Instead of calming the moment, he inflamed it, publicly, on a holiday night, with the country watching. Zoom out and the stakes sharpen. Earlier supporters argued out loud that any order should be followed, no matter the legality. Then the president lashed out when lawful vetting contradicted his narrative. Together, those moments outline a trajectory: authority without constraint, power without accountability, and truth framed as opposition. For working Americans, this matters in ways that go far beyond press briefings. When leadership refuses responsibility, systems become scapegoats. Agencies get blamed for decisions they executed correctly. Communities pay the price when facts are ignored, and public trust erodes when anger replaces explanation. That erosion shows up everywhere, at borders, in courts, in markets, and in homes trying to plan a future around policies that change with someone's mood. The Thanksgiving meltdown wasn't an isolated slip. It was the predictable result of a governing style that treats contradiction as disrespect and reality as negotiable. And the implications don't end with one night's outburst. They raise a harder question. If basic accountability triggers hostility, what happens when the consequences get bigger, more complex, or more dangerous? That question is still hanging. By the end of the night, the meltdown had done what no opposition ad ever could. It drew a straight, unavoidable line between power and responsibility and showed which side Trump refuses to stand on. The facts never moved. The vetting happened, the authority existed, the approval came from his own government. Those truths didn't buckle under volume or insults. They just sat there, unmoved, while the person demanding trust unraveled in public. That's the consequence. When a leader reacts to accountability with rage, the weakness stops being theoretical. It becomes visible. And when that visibility happens repeatedly, on live microphones, in press rooms, during national moments, it stops being denial. It becomes pattern. The cause and effect chain is already in motion. A president denies documented reality, he attacks messengers instead of facts, supporters absorb the behavior and escalate it further, institutions become targets instead of safeguards, and public trust takes the hit. This is where the real damage lands for working Americans. Markets don't stabilize around tantrums. Communities don't feel safer when truth is optional. Families planning their futures can't rely on governance that swings with outrage. When leadership treats evidence as hostile and law as inconvenience, everyone below absorbs the instability. The Thanksgiving meltdown wasn't about one reporter or one tragedy. It was about control. Who has it, who challenges it, and how that challenge is met. And the answer, unmistakably, was aggression instead of accountability. There is another model. A government where facts are faced instead of screamed down, where national trauma is met with clarity instead of scapegoating, where leadership lowers the temperature instead of daring it to climb. That model doesn't require perfection. It requires responsibility, and it requires leaders who understand that strength is shown by confronting reality, not running from it. What happened that night wasn't just embarrassing, it was instructive. It showed what happens when power is separated from discipline. It showed the cost of mistaking loyalty for truth. And it showed why democratic accountability still matters, because when it surfaces, it tells the story no spin can erase. If you want leadership grounded in facts, accountability, and respect for the law, stay focused, stay informed, support leaders who don't crumble when questioned. Because democracy doesn't fail in one dramatic moment, it erodes when behavior like this is excused, and it survives when it isn't.